Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm joined today by Jon Gordon, Grammy and Juno-nominated saxophonist and composer, Thelonious Monk award winner, and professor of jazz saxophone and composition at the University of Manitoba. Jon is here to show us his approach to writing contrafacts.
I thought I would present a tune today to you all that I guess I wrote about 20 years ago. It's entitled Riddle. And Dan, can we pull up the PDF of that? Great. So as you'll notice, I put it in 5. At the time, it's funny, I had been called to play a record with George Colligan and everything was in 5 and 7. And I was like, I need to work on playing in 5 and 7 more. And so I thought I would do that. And there was a couple of things that sort of came to me with this. So you'll notice that at the beginning, I have this kind of approach tone from the minor 7th to the major 7th over C major, the A sharp to the B natural. And somehow it was just a theme that came to me from something I heard Joe Henderson do a number of times. And that kind of half-step approach is a bit of a theme throughout the piece. And I think a few of the things that I would point out is that I was looking for something that implied some other tonalities along the way. So right away, it's C major 7 plus 11, but we kind of land on a G sharp as the only 5th in that first bar. So it's almost an E over C kind of sound. The second bar, which is just what you would call basically a 2/5 of F minor 7 to B flat 7, is relatively, I would say safe and, diatonic, I would say would be the best way to put it. But then when we resolve back to C major in the third bar, we land on that G sharp again over the C major. There's sort of an extended chromatic approach leading into the B flat minor. At the end of the B flat minor, A7 sort of 2/5 leading to the A flat major. We then have that F sharp to the G, the minor 7th, resolving up to the major 7th again. So that's sort of, in my mind, Joe Henderson kind of melodic idea. And then we have the B to the C, the minor 3rd to the major 3rd. So playing with the various tonalities and different things that are implied there. I think I would point out to you that in the next bar over the A minor 7 to D7, I'm outlining a G sharp minor over the A minor, B, D sharp, and G sharp, and then the F to the F sharp again, a chromatic approach in that bar. And then there's a series of chromatic approaches there in the next couple of bars. G sharp to A, D to E flat to E. And then when we kind of resolve to the C major, in the first ending there, I've got a B to an E flat going up to the C. By the time you get to the C, we're no longer on C major. We're within that kind of tritone sub of 1-6-2-5 that is at the core of this tune. But really, when we land on the C major there in both the first and second endings, we're kind of implying a B over C. So I was playing with that. And the device of the chromatic approach as a linear kind of thematic device, and then these other kind of implied tonalities along the way were some of the themes that I was dealing with, along with putting it in 5. So that is an example of what the tune sounds like without any harmony the first time. Harmony came in the second time on this particular recording, which was entitled Answer, that came out in 2019 on the Artist Share label. I noticed once I came up with that I felt like the tune was going into the realm of kind of approaching a kind of 12-tone row. You know, it wasn't quite there, but it was kind of close. So for this particular recording, I decided to create another 12-tone row that was a series of augmented triads that are stacked. So I tend to like that kind of stacked harmony where you're basically going up in major sevenths. The most famous version or example of that I know of is, I believe it's one excerpt of The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky, where he's very strongly outlining an E flat 7 over an E major, but it's made a little bit more strident or discordant because it's down an octave from maybe where it would normally be voiced out. So it gives it sort of a darker sound. In this case, I find also it works very well to work with minor chords that are stacked going up in major sevenths, but in this case, we used augmented triads. So what Bryn Roberts and I did, and the band was Bryn Roberts on piano, Matt Closey on bass, and Quincy Davis on drums. What Bryn and I did is I gave him those stacked augmented triads, and I said, we're going to just sort of excerpt various tonalities that are possible within that, and at the end of it, we're going to basically go all the way up, but we're going to pick our spots along the way. The second 12-tone row that I play at one point there was written out in eighth notes is the same 12-tone row that actually ends this piece, Riddle. So those were a few elements that kind of came to me, like I say, about 20 years ago when I originally wrote this piece. I think the first time we recorded it, or I recorded it, was on a record called Possibilities in 2000 with John Schofield and Kevin Hayes and Peter Washington and Bill Stewart. But we just kind of played the tune a little bit straighter. John wasn't actually on that particular cut. It was just quartet with the other guys. And but I thought for the more recent recording, to revisit this, that I would just expand that idea of the 12-tone row that I end the piece with, add another one at the beginning, and sort of bookend it with sort of that thematic device. And yeah, those were some of the components that came up for me in creating a contrafact on Lady Bird. And I hope some of these ideas maybe are helpful for any young jazz composers that are looking to take basic forms and make them their own.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.